Yeah, we've had some amazing players, and I was thinking, who are the top 5 players since 2000, last 25 years? And the first name on my list of the 5 players, coming in at number 5,
Mm,
is actually a player from this year's team.
same here.
Really, mine is Mr. KJ Duff.
Oh, that was good. You know
KJ
what?
Duff.
I think, well, by the way, jumping right into it, I see no sugarcoating the topic whatsoever. Yeah, the thing is, I have 5 players on my list because I was also magically thinking about the past 25 years, and this is all just a coincidence.
Or you were
And
thinking magically.
yeah, you know what? We were having that telepathic communication there.
Yes.
But yeah, so I have 2 players of recent time and 3 players closer to 2000 than 2026, and that's because you can argue that there are 3 or 4 players in the past 5 years that belong on this list just based on the talent level. But to me, part of the criteria is winning. So I'm not saying it's all the criteria, or else my first 2 players probably wouldn't be on the list. But it's all about the combination of balance and individual talent and team chemistry. So my number 5 player, only because maybe KJ had the more impressive year, the better highlights. But I think I'm putting Ethan on my number 5 position, and I would probably have him at 3 or 2 if he had a good 2024, and he had a solid 2024. But if he had numbers he had this past season in 2024, we could have been a playoff team for all we know. So I have Ethan at number 5. He has got an extremely strong arm. He is when he's on fire, nobody can stop him. And like I said, he has like those. He had those Peyton Manning-esque games. Of course, he also had those Deshaun Kaiser, DJ Ugalele-esque games every here and there. But for the most part, he was looking more Peyton Manning than DJ Ugalele. He's my number 5. And if we won 7 or 8 games this past year, or he had the season this year, last year, he would probably be number 2. But to me, he's number 5.
Well, look, that's certainly a fair choice. But I got to tell you, Ethan, you didn't come on the show. And, you want to make it to the top 5 list, but you don't come on the show despite repeated invitations. It is what it is.
You know what, Jason? You bring a great point. Anthony Davis. I didn't even think of him, and I feel like an idiot because he is tied for the highest draft pick in Rutgers history. I believe pick 10 or pick 11. And I hate to say it, Donovan would kill me if he heard this, but the offensive line just skips past my mind sometimes when I'm ranking these guys. I think of the guys that get the ball a lot or make the big plays, and obviously the offensive line is so important, but just jumps right by me. And so that's my bad, but I'm going to present the rest of my list as I have it. But Anthony Davis deserves strong consideration over most of these guys.
Anthony, yeah, certainly. I mean, but I could see the Ethan choice. I really could because he did have some great games and he was fantastic against Penn State. No question about that. So that's a fair choice, I guess. So now we go to number 4. Number 4, and this is probably an obvious choice. Some might say this person should be number 1 or number 2, but I'm putting this person at number 4. You have to have Ray Rice on the list.
Whoa, 4?
Yeah, he's number 4. Exactly where he deserves to be. Number 4.
That's crazy. He set like every freaking record across the board.
Not good enough. Not good enough. Man. There are players I would put ahead of him, but when you come down to who's 4, who's 3, it's pretty arbitrary. One of the best players in Rutgers history, just a great running back, was great in the NFL, and certainly one of the best players in the history of the program.
Yeah, Jason, I couldn't agree more. He is a top 3 in terms of like the level of competition at his position. He's a top 3 most dominant player in Rutgers history. And before I continue this list, since I didn't put Anthony Davis in my list, I also want to shout out Logan Ryan. I want to shout out Jason McCourty, KJ Duff, of course. Ian Strong had a great year. and several others who didn't make the list who deserve to have their names shouted out. And we did this segment last year, and I think I also had Ethan on my list last year, and that was definitely premature. But now I feel a lot more confident with it. And I know that you're not dissing Ray Rice because you mentioned nothing but good things about him. But I am very shocked that he is not at least number 2, but pretty much he's unanimously won in across Rutgers.
Actually, you know what? I should have put him at number 5.
Oh,
I'm going to put him at number 5.
You're a rage hater. You're looking for clicks right now.
I'm going to put Ray Rice at 5, and I'm going to put KJ at 4. I apologize, KJ, for that slight. After that catch against Penn State.
Oh, my goodness. Also, forgot, shout out to Mohamed Sanu, absolutely, and shout out to Kenny Britt and Jeremy Zutta. But Kenny Britt, Mohamed Sanu just couldn't find a place for them on this list, which might sound shocking because of how good the offense was in the mid-2000s, late 2000s, but there's just players that I feel more deserving. So my number 4 player is a running back, but I'm not going to rage bait. I'm not going to say it's Ray Rice. It's going to be a fella on the Chicago Bears, just had a great first year. I'm putting Kyle Monangai, number 4, best player at Rutgers since 2000. He had 2 1,000-yard rushing seasons with us. He was at Rutgers his whole tenure, which obviously nowadays is rare. He was a senior and a junior, I believe, when NIL first started taking off in the NCAA. So he had opportunities to leave, but chose to stay. Shout out to Monangai. We were both somewhat skeptical of him, Adam and I, coming into the NFL Combine and NFL Draft. I thought that his ceiling, I always said it, his ceiling would be like a Sony Michel in the NFL, but he's already more talented in the NFL than Sony Michel ever was. And so I'm changing my ceiling for Monangai from Sony Michel to, I'm going to say, somewhere just underneath the tier of Marshawn Lynch and Derrick Henry, just underneath. I'm going to say he is like a Walmart version of Marshawn Lynch. And that's no disrespect to Kyle Monangai. It's just that level is so generationally high, but he has been such a good addition for the Bears, and he's probably going to be RB1 for all of next year. And I'm excited. He's Pro Bowl caliber, and he had a great stint with Rutgers. Definitely a legend. Even though we didn't have the winningest seasons, he did help us win that bowl against Miami, and he did pretty much carry the offense for 2023 and 2024.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, what a great year he had for the Bears, and he was just a very physical runner for Rutgers. Certainly belongs on the list. And I just want to note as a side note, Gabe, it appears that I have a fan. And you know what? I love my fans. I'll tell you something. And you know what? This is
I think I know who this is this time around.
I don't know, but I'll tell you something. I just want to shout out to my fans. I need about 5 million more of you, and then everything will be good. But anyway, okay, well, I'm going to go for my number 3 pick. This is a pick, a great linebacker for Rutgers, in my opinion, one of the best, if not the best, in the last 25 years. 2009 to 2012, Kasim Green.
Good shout.
2-time Big East Defensive Player of the Year, and he set the Rutgers season record for tackles, 136 in a single season, first team All-American, and can't do much better than him.
No, for sure. I didn't even consider him really, but definitely shout out to Kasim. My number 3 is, now, look, Ethan, I've said it, just had the best statistical year.
You're going to put him as number 3 and number 5? He's going to be twice on the list?
Yeah, he's just that good. But Ethan has statistically had the best quarterback season in Rutgers history, and I think that he is the most talented quarterback in Rutgers history. But in terms of tenure, in terms of winning, in terms of what he was able to do as a Scarlet Knight, how he was able to elevate the program, I have to put Mike Teal on this list, and to me, he's number 3. Wow. Numbers are very similar to Ethan's, but he didn't make as many mistakes. He was way more consistent long-term, and he elevated us. He elevated us to a ranked program. We beat number 2 South Florida. We beat number 3 Louisville. We started out, I believe it was 8-0, and we just looked unstoppable. And New Jersey was finally on the map. And whatever has happened since he's left, someone will someday put New Jersey back on the map.
Yeah, and New Jersey, let me tell you, New Jersey's already on the map just because it's New Jersey. Best state in the country. You've got the boardwalk at Seaside, Wildwood. You've got, great places to go, Atlantic City. You're right by New York City. And, of course, you have my hometown of Hasbrook Heights, which you can't beat. So that's your number 3. And now we're going to number 2. Number 2, this is where it gets a little bit dicey. So number 2, I really looked at the wide receiving core. And that team, 2009, 2011, can't beat Mohamed Sanu. Mohamed Sanu, number 2, fantastic wide receiver, probably the best in the last 25 years.
Yeah. I will say KJ Duff has potential to beat him in terms of that best receiver Rutgers has had. He definitely has potential. Another year like last year, and we win at least 7 games. It's a conversation. If we win 8 games, I think he has it. But Mo Sanu, he ironically, even though he's a wide receiver, has, I believe, the best QBR in NFL history because he threw like 3 or 4 touchdowns on 7 throws or something like that.
Yeah.
I remember we were talking last year, and you mentioned that he had somewhat of an attitude problem with Rutgers. I don't know. Maybe you were I think you were talking about him.
About who?
About Sanu? Or maybe you were talking about Kenny Britt?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I don't recall who I was talking about. It could have been, but I'm not sure.
Well, shout out to Mohamed Sanu because he reposted us on Twitter, and he seems like a great guy now, regardless of whatever happened in the past. I simply don't have him on my list, but that's only because we can only put 5 selections in. There's 52 players each year at a time, and there's 100 players, between the commits and the recruiting. It's just too much to squeeze him in there. Although he definitely is considered, he's definitely in everyone's top 10 list. My number 2, I've gone with 3 offensive players. I have to switch it up, and you mentioned Kasim breaking the record for most tackles. Well, I'm going with, when I made my honorable mentions, I said Jason McCourty, but that's the only McCourty I mentioned. So I'm saying Devin McCourty, number 2, Rutgers player, Rutgers Scarlet Knight in the past 25 years. Played with us all 4 years, started all 4 years, which that's rare for Shiano to do, start a freshman, specifically at defense. 238 tackles, 12 tackles for loss. He had 6 interceptions, 2 of them for touchdown, 2 forced fumbles, and he was the number 1 corner that whole span where we were back in it. And I have to mention someone on defense from that era because recently, although defense has typically been our identity, recently the defense hasn't been doing what they're supposed to. But I wanted to shine some light on when the defense was looking crisp out there. So shout out to Devin McCourty.
The defense was looking crisp when? In 2006?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I thought you were referring to this year's defense.
No chance.
No. Yeah, that's a good pick there. I think, all the players on your list certainly are worthy of being on the top 5. Now it comes down to number 1. Number 1, always.
Can I make a guess?
Yes.
Dylan Lonergan.
Now I may change my number 1 because of that. Dylan Lonergan, former 4-star at Alabama, coming to Rutgers to compete for the job against A.J. Surace. Could he be, a generational player at Rutgers? We'll see. I think he's got the talent, but don't count out Surace. We'll see how that quarterback battle shapes up. I once, about 6 years ago, I went to see a concert in Kansas City. And I lived in Indiana at the time. It was about 6 hours away. And I was thinking, the last place I want to go is Kansas City. Sounds like such an ambiguous place in the middle of nowhere.
I know who you're saying. I think I know who you're saying.
Well, it was funny. I went to Kansas City, and I was like, wow, what a cute little town. What a nice little place here. And of course, Iron Maiden, what a great, great damn band. And it makes me think of somebody who I think is the best player in the last 25 years, Isaiah Pacheco,
Wow.
running back who led Rutgers 3 straight seasons in rushing yards, went on to be great player for the Chiefs. Isaiah Pacheco with 2,442 career rushing yards, 18 rushing touchdowns, and 2 100-yard games against Michigan. He's number 1 on my list.
I'm going to have to school you here. I'm sorry. But 2,442. My number 1 guy has 4,926.
Yes, however,
4.3 yards per carry. My number 1 guy has 5.4. You mentioned 18 touchdowns. My number 1 guy has 49. I mean, he hasn't beat in receptions. Pacheco has 10 more receptions, but I don't think that those 10 more receptions it weighs evenly with the 49 touchdowns, double the yards and more yards per attempt. And here's my last point. I was considering Pacheco, but he had a worse year every year from his freshman year to his senior year since he got here. Now, of course, he had NFL success, but that's quite odd, right? That a running back that had his best year statistically his freshman year, his second best year sophomore year, third best junior year, worst year senior year with 3.9 yards per carry. And somehow he had NFL success, great for him. But statistically, and the fact that Ray Rice was winning, and he had another great running back in Brian Leonard competing with him, and he still put up those numbers, I can't do it, man.
Well, okay, so you look at the statistics, and that's fine. He's 11th in program history with 3,039 all-purpose yards. And when did he, when did he amass these statistics? He was not on a very good team, was he? He was on one of the historically bad teams and still did it. Imagine if he was on this year's team or the 2006 team. So I think you got to look at it in context.
I'm not saying he's a bad player. I can't believe you have him over Ray Rice. That's insane to me.
Well, Ray Rice is number 4. And who's had a better NFL career?
There's a lot of argument for you could say Ray Rice did.
I don't think so.
I mean, obviously Pacheco's won more, but Ray Rice, if he didn't get into any off the field issues, which I don't consider that for these rankings, I'm just talking about strictly careers. In his prime, he was a top 3, top 2 running back in the NFL. In Isaiah Pacheco's prime, which may have passed, he might have another resurgence. He was maybe a top 12 running back, top 15.
What I'm saying is that he led Rutgers in rushing and had 2 100-yard rushing games against Michigan on historically horrible Rutgers teams.
Yeah.
To do that on those teams, to me, matters more than Ray Rice doing it on very good teams.
Man, I would love to have Donovan here because I think he would be he'd be telling you that you're wrong, and in a way that you wouldn't be being like, well, but actually, I think you'd be listening. Because Donovan knows his shit. Shout out to Donovan. But
wait, are you mimicking me? Are you I mean, okay. Well, Ray Rice. Let's see. Well, how would Pacheco have done on the teams that Ray Rice was on?
That's tough to say because Pacheco's more of a power back, where Ray Rice is an all-purpose back.
I bet you he would have done just as well. And when you're talking about a team that was terrible during his years, and he's still getting 100 yards, not once but twice against Michigan, and leading the team in rushing all 3 years, then going on to the Chiefs and having a productive career, I think that a reasonable argument could be made that him and Ray Rice are equivalent if you consider the context of the teams they played on. Well, actually, I'm just kidding.
I don't think there is a reasonable argument, but I think you're putting up the best fight that someone who's defending Pacheco over Ray Rice could put up.
That's what lawyers do, defense lawyers.
I just can't do it. Statistically, I can't do it based on the shiftiness. I can't do it based on any criteria other than Pacheco having slightly more success with receiving. But I'm sorry, I just can't do it, and I don't think any Rutgers fan would put Pacheco over him. Now, shout out to Pacheco for having great years with horrible Rutgers teams. But Ray Rice was a huge reason we were winning. He was the most valuable player on either side of the football that year. He forced Brian Leonard into RB2 fullback his freshman year, and he has close to 5,000 yards rushing, by far the most in program history, on more yards per attempt, more touchdowns. And he was actually ranked 7th in Heisman voting in 2006, a sophomore running back from Rutgers. So I can't do it. But let us know what you think in the comments below. If you're here watching, let us know if Adam's crazy, if I'm not giving Isaiah Pacheco enough credit. I just don't see it, but let us know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I don't think you're wrong, but I think that you have to look at the supporting cast. Did Pacheco have an offensive line? No. Did he have a team that won any games? No. And
Exactly.
and something that is revealing is when you look at their NFL careers, I think you can argue that Pacheco had a better NFL career. And I just, sometimes I like to look at it more in context than just look at the stats. But I see someone says, "What's my website, Adam?" That website's going to be coming up in 3 weeks. 3 weeks out before it goes live. It's lamparello-law.com. And it's, I'm not going to promote myself, but, defending people who are charged with crimes and helping people with applications, resumes, personal statements, exam preparation in the good old town of East Rutherford, New Jersey, home to the New York Football Giants.
Well, you're wrong. Your website is actually http://www.onlyfans.com/Adam Lamparello.
Well, that too. And I was recently, they did a top 5 list there too, and I was at number 2. You know who was number 1? Donald Trump. You believe that?
Yeah, I guess I can if it's on OnlyFans.
Good point. So yeah, do we have any honorable mentions here that we're missing? I mean, I mentioned Gary Nova belongs somewhere in this conversation.
Gary Nova belongs in the conversation. Brian Leonard definitely belongs in the conversation.
Yes,
I was between him and Manungai. I went with Manungai only because he was the guy. Who else are we missing? I said Logan Ryan. I said Jason McCourty. Ian Strong I mentioned. KJ Duff was an honorable on mine. You can say honorable mention Kwabena Asamoah.
Yeah. Honorable mention on my list is Tavion Branch for the number of times that he has flipped from school to school. Now,
on my dog.
I think the list. I think most people would agree with your list more than mine, certainly. But I think there's one person we're overlooking, and this is the problem. We never give any respect to our special teams. And I'm going to give a shout out to our good friend, Jeremy Ito. Jeremy Ito from 2004 to 2007, 80 career field goals. Got to give him credit.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's fair. Let's see. I feel like, I don't know if people are going to be okay with me not having either star receiver from the late 2000s on my list. No Kenny Britt, no Mo Sanu. I know Anthony Davis. Neither of us had Anthony Davis, which is
but we do. I do think we have to go back to our special teams. We cannot forget Adam Korsak, the Ray Guy Award winner from 2022, one of the best punters in NCAA history.
What about our guy Jude McAtam, the Giants superstar kicker?
Yeah, and what about? I was going to say something, but
you bit your tongue.
Mr. Jai Patel had a good run. Got a little nervous, but I'll tell you who would have been on this list probably if he had stayed, and that's Mohamed Toure.
Hey, yes, absolutely. He is probably a top 20 at least.
Yeah,
maybe top 15 might be pushing it. You know who would have not only been on this list but could have been number 1? Saquon Barkley, man. What happened?
Saquon Barkley went to Penn State.
Yeah, he flipped.